Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. We're gearing up to head down to one of my favorite places, you know it, Delano, down in Polk County, right there bordering North Carolina down there. And we are going to the Mennonite community, as you've seen before on many videos, to supplement my canning this year. Now, you know, if you follow my channel, that's the way it's going to be this year because I did major pulling back on my farm. I didn't necessarily pull back on livestock and poultry and ducks and geese and things like that, but I did pull back on the hard labor in terms of my garden. And I'm going to tell you what I've discovered so far because I think you need to know some hard truths. There are hard truths in life and there are hard truths here if you are particularly trying to compare it and be very self-sustainable for whatever reason you're trying to do it. Hardcore truth. It's not on your timeline. It's very clear that things are going to come into harvest to a degree based upon where you live, based upon your effort and timing, yes, but at the same time, weather is a major factor. If you have a lot of rain, if you have a lot of drought, you're clearly going to have an issue with your garden. We have been fighting blight this year. Just about everybody in my community has either had to fight it like the dickens or has lost pretty much all of their tomato crop. And even if they made it through, we have made it through, I can tell you right now they're having to supplement for the majority of the ways. If they're going to be canning and putting away for the winter, they're depending on a lot of large farmers markets, those that have a much bigger setup or big hoop houses and high tunnels and things like that. They're able to control their environment a little bit better. I knew this would be the factor, but it's pretty amazing when you really truly get into this and you do it year after year after year and you start comparing your experiences, you start comparing your harvest, and then you start comparing it to what does my pantry look like and how much are we eating? How much of the things am I growing or that I have canned do I actually eat and do I like? I can tell you right now, we eat a ton of tomatoes. It's a very important aspect of our life here at this homestead. I've saved the majority of my tomatoes and they are putting out, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way my family can survive on that. No way. My beans are definitely putting on. I only did the Missouri and the Kentucky wonders right there on the 2 cattle panels, making a beautiful tunnel. I haven't quite gotten in there yet and picked, but we do have quite a few. The next thing though that's positive that I have discovered this year, if you have volunteers that come up in your garden, let's say you have a Back to Eden or you have a lasagna garden, let them flourish. I have learned a very valuable lesson this year. I let many of my volunteers flourish, except for my tomatoes, because I thought, well, I'm going to be planting my tomatoes that I am going to be buying and you know, it's not going to be a problem and yada, yada, yada. I have 3 tomato plants that I have in the end allowed to continue to grow because they ended up not being in the way, right? They didn't get blight. They do not have blight. I have been fighting with these. The others, one is in my compost, one is on the other side right here, and then one is over in my strawberry bed. None of them have developed blight. None of them have been treated. None of them have been trimmed. I let them be. I let them go. And they are doing very well. I have a friend who had a couple of tomato plants come up from last year, some Romas. Not an issue. She hasn't staked them. She hasn't trimmed them. She hasn't done anything to them. She's just letting them be. No blight. And she's not that far from here. Food for thought on that for you. So think about those heirlooms and volunteers. So, very clearly, while life pulls you back, you must always evaluate, okay, what if you hadn't pulled back? What if life pulled you back and you weren't counting on that to happen? You weren't prepared for that to happen. You weren't psychologically prepared to say, I'm going to have to go supplement. What if you can't supplement? Always know that this is a reality. This is a pretty good sized garden. I certainly could grow more food in it than, say, zinnias and sunflowers, although I argue they're very important for our pollinators. This is not feeding my family, y'all. So you need to have a realistic perspective in terms of, are you gardening for fun? Are you gardening for pleasure? Are you gardening just to supplement? And there's nothing wrong with that. Amen. But if you are trying to push yourself in having more of a self-sustainable lifestyle, or if you are ever concerned about a crisis scenario, I can guarantee you this, if you have a family of even 2, this is not enough. That is a reality. Another homestead reality, I'm waiting on this cow down here. I'm waiting on my goats. Good news, you remember Miss Maybell? That was her calf from 2 years ago. I took her back in October over to Farmer Rick's, and we thought they were together and they were probably bred, and it's looking like it. Maybell had a bull yesterday, so we're really excited about that. Before I cut and we start traveling to Delano, I want to tell you another reality. I give a lot of consultation to people that are, to many levels in which you are homesteading now. And especially on my Facebook groups, the premium group, the peeps group, death happens on a homestead. I went out to my coop today. Everything was great as of 11 o'clock last night. Everything was fine. Everybody was up and happy, and the doors were shut. The doors were locked, no problem. I have a wonderful flock of Buff Orpingtons over here. I have 15 hens to 1 rooster. The ratio is great. They're spoiled rotten. And I found one of my girls today in the floor of the coop, right underneath the perch. It's like she went up there to sleep, and she certainly did go to sleep. She was a younger hen, and I don't know the exact age. I have 3 different runs of ages in here. She hasn't really had a lot of, by what I could tell, a lot of treading by the rooster. And I have sensed 0 stress over here. And there is 0 disease that I can see. They're all doing very well and flourishing. But once in a blue moon, you're going to have a scenario. So always know that and have that in the back of your mind, that that's just part of it, number one. There's going to be things that you can't necessarily explain. You need to be prepared for that, and particularly your children. Children can take finding a deceased beloved hen in the coop rather tragically or hard. It's probably a good experience for them because that's part of growing up, that's part of maturing, that's part of getting into this lifestyle, and it helps them to be equipped to deal with real life scenarios dealing with people. But my garden buddy is down here today. We're waiting on babies. We're having a realistic look at how much, again, this season, how much food to grow, dealing with disease, dealing with weather, how to supplement. Don't be afraid to supplement, but you must. If you must, then get up and go do it. You'll be thankful come wintertime. Hey, let's break right here and let's get to Delano. Hey, say hello. Oh, you're so sleepy. Does the sun feel good? Does this cool down feel good, Mr. Poopa? You're so, yes. All right, guys, so we're going to take you on the road trip. We got to get going because the last Saturday of every month between April and October in Delano is their animal market. Probably going to get there a little bit late, but we'll show you around, all right? So let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.